I'm Nick Forster. You're listening to eTown. We got more music from Mipso coming up later in the show. And of course, Jake Xerxes Fussell is here too to play some music. Wonderful guitarist and singer and gatherer of potent old songs. Jake is here. He's going to be out before long. Before we get Jake out, I was talking with the Mipso folks before about absorbing folk music in its purest form, and in general, you know, just going down to the source material and then feeling that and then going from there as a foundation, as a base. It works pretty well. But in order to do that, you have to be able to find the original stuff. You got to go to field recordings and 78s and old radio transcriptions and printed sheet music and lyrics and all of that stuff, the source material. And it used to be folks would ramble around the South with a tape recorder capturing what the old folks knew about songs and stories. And both Jake and Mipso have learned from what came before, studied it. Our next guest is dedicated to capturing all of that stuff, including more current versions of those field recordings by adding to the archives at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and preserving that source material for future generations. It's big stuff. Glad he's here. Please welcome to the stage the curator of the Southern Folklife collection at UNC, Steve Weiss.
Thanks, Nick.
The cavalcade of neighbors continues.
Oh, I know.
Mipso
It's
and
great
Jake.
to see him.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like a little road trip with all your buddies.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like Cat's Cradle right here. This is great.
Well, let's start by talking about the archive at UNC. So I suspect it's pretty substantial. It's a big bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's a big bunch of stuff. It keeps growing all the time. It's about, I would say, 350,000 items, 250,000 sound recordings, a lot of field recordings, a lot of commercial material.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's your job to both add to the collection and take care of the collection.
Yeah, that's right. So I oversee collecting, preservation, access, and outreach for the collection.
Yeah. And then do students get access to it, or can anybody get access to it? How does that work?
It's open. I mean, we're there to support the educational mission of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So it's there for the students, the faculty, and for the community. And the community is a worldwide community. And we have a lot of material that's digitized and available online.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so people can look online just go on the website and see what's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hundreds of thousands of pages of cataloged items, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And about over 30,000 streaming field recordings. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so of the things that you do, what's your happy place? Is it going to find new things, or is it giving access to things you already have?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think the whole thing is kind of my happy place, but I think some of the things I enjoy the most are really sort of going out on the road and meeting people and just sort of seeing, you know, how people do their work and, hearing their stories and seeing their creative process. It's really, it's joyful. And
you're fighting the clock.
Yeah, that's true.
Every old person who passes on, that's a bunch of stories, and in some cases, songs or ballads or poems that won't be heard again.
Yeah, it's true. It's very sombering. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get to also see what happens when these things have a new life, when they're reinterpreted, when they're captured, when they're absorbed, and they're shared in new ways.
Yeah, that's really exciting to see. I think one of the most exciting things that I saw in my career was the Carolina Chocolate Drops when they first started. They had, they were still busking, and they came and were listening to field recordings in our collection and using those and learning repertoire and from Joe and Odell Thompson. It was really great to see.
Oh, that's so cool. It reminds me of a sad story, which I'll tell you later, about Joe and Odell Thompson.
Okay.
I also think, and I guess, you're not necessarily trying to tell an overarching message with an archive, but I have to believe that in times like these, where there's a lot of division in the world, and even more specifically in North Carolina, that this archive can tell a story to North Carolinians about how the indigenous music and stories and folklore that it comes from that place comes from a wide variety of cultures and races and different sources that all make it connected. So I hope that can tell a connecting story. Do you think it does?
I think so. I think one of the real powers of music is the ability to sort of bridge all of those things.
Yeah.
And also just to give everyone space for cultural expression.
Yeah. Yeah. And so as you go through your job, both in, on campus and beyond, are there some things that you're particularly excited about? Like oh my God, if I can only get my hands on this collection of stuff, it's going to be incredible. Some things that you hear about, and you hear a rumor about somebody's got all this stuff. And
yeah, there's so much out there to be collected, and there's a lot of there's a lot of really great people involved in this work, and so yeah, there's always more stuff to be collected, and just great stories and just great collections to be had. There's it feels unlimited, really. Yeah.
What is there stuff that you wouldn't take? Like, in other words, given the nature and the specificity of what you're collecting, if Elton John called you up and said, "Hey, Steve, I got all my original lyrics from my songs, and what do you think?"
Yeah, no, that's kind of out of scope for us.
Yeah.
And some of the things that we kind of tend to avoid is like museum artifacts. That's something that we don't collect because we don't really have, the capacity to exhibit it in that way.
Yeah. And so as you think about the future and your legacy, just steady as she goes, more stuff, more access, digitize more archival material, help more young people get access to it and be inspired by it?
Oh, yeah, right on.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay. All right. Well, listen, good luck. And I think it's important. I've never done that. I've never accessed Library of Congress or places where all these things reside. As a kid, pre-internet, we relied on record companies and people like John Cohen or Mike Seeger or others who were out there with field recordings and would make records for Folkways or these great collections that would come out on record.
Yeah.
But I've never gone to a place where there's a whole bunch of this stuff.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.
Okay, I'm going to come. I'm going to learn some stuff. Mind will be blown, I'm sure. Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And good luck with your collection and with your dissemination of this cool stuff. It's important, not that we can't keep moving forward, but by understanding where we come from, I think it helps us all get a better understanding of who we are and in this country, and particularly at this moment.
Yeah, amen.
Good work you're doing there. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve is the curator, the Southern Folklife Collection at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Steve Weiss, thanks so much for being here.